It's great to be here with you today, and I just want to start off by thanking Christine for producing this, and this is our last chance to thank her for bringing all of us together. And so, Christine, wherever you are, I want to thank you for your vision in doing this. And also the sponsors, and two more, well, there's a lot more very special thank yous, but the scientists, the panelists who you just heard from, the people who've devoted their lives to this work. You are inspiring, you're re-inspiring of me, on so many of us. Thank you so much, Sheshe, from the world for what you've been doing. I also want to give a very special thank you to our partners. I get credit for so much that I'm not sure I deserve. I'm definitely part of this process, but the civil servants, the government people in Los Angeles who've partnered with us, who've put up with me, who've worked so hard with us and changed, all the credit I get is to be shared. Where's my stick? That's still not my stick. But excuse me a sec. Great. Thank you. So, wait. It is great to be here with you, and it is really a privilege. And thank you for hanging out through to the very end. You've heard the passion. Yesterday you heard frustration from scientists who've worked so hard only to have people undo the work. But it's really clear from all of us, from everything you've heard, that we have to engage, and we have to engage very, very quickly. Our job is to move massive numbers of people and to catalyze a rapid response. The good news is we've barely begun to use the resources. We've barely begun to fully engage the most powerful resource, which is the people. An informed and engaged population. There's 6 billion of us and growing. We can change quickly, and my job today is to give some hope that people challenged respond. Nature is another one of our very untapped partners, and that's what this panel is all about. Following Jay, who laid it out, and Kenny, who laid it out so well. It's a great partner for us, along with the people, and very, very powerful. As is business, as is government. The challenge is we haven't mimicked nature and how we all work together. We've disengaged from each other. We've disengaged nature from being our partner. Business competes, usually instead of cooperating. And the way government was structured, not by evil, but for efficiency, was to keep different departments in different places. But that disengagement doesn't mimic nature at all. I stand before you leaning a little bit today because I damaged my knee earlier, but I think I might have done it because I'm a student of traditional Chinese medicine, and I practice medical Qigong. And in that practice, I've learned more and more and more, and I'm still learning, that basic principle that exists in nature, that is the basic principle of traditional Chinese medicine, which is everything is connected. And when it's not connected, when information isn't flowing, when energy isn't flowing, we get disease. The whole purpose of acupuncture is to break the blockage that prevents our organs from getting energy, or that prevents waste from being recycled. And so what I'm going to show you is everything about connecting. So taking the principles that you heard Kenny talk about and Jay talk about, and connecting that all up instead of individual elements, which they've done beautifully is kick it up to the next level, the system level, and imagine if we could take a whole city and find what is the model, as Jay did with the spiral, what is the model for how a city should function? And we found it. It's a forest. The forest is a complex ecosystem with lots of different things going on, lots of different cultures. And it's very much like a city. In fact, it represents all sorts of ways that we can undo the damage that we've done and do so quickly. And before I forget, and before I launch into this, I just want to acknowledge Bioneers as well. What Jay acknowledged Kenny for, and I do, is that they have brought the inspiration to good chunks of the world. It's a really critical leveraging tool for taking your ideas, these ideas, and bringing them to a whole population. So I hope that we'll be back to share this as a community with you and your communities. So, one of the challenges, I was asked today to provoke conversation, to provoke discussion. And I do want to pick up on that provocation mode that I was put into, even though I'm not supposed to be doing that now. So much of the challenge with waking people up is we've been talking about climate change as a 35 to 50-year horizon. But people living on the edge, and even in developed countries, in Mediterranean climates, we are experiencing early onset severe weather, early onset climate change is affecting lives now, hurting and killing people now. In Los Angeles, severe weather takes the form of hotter hots, drier dries, wetter wets, colder colds, flooding, and the largest fire ever in the history of Los Angeles last year. They've been getting more severe, more difficult. How do we respond to this? The conversation, as was talked about yesterday, when we've been avoiding the word adaptation because we've been trying to mitigate climate change, it's time to combine those. We've got to mobilize our populations to respond and respond quickly, both to protect their lives now and in the future. So this is last year, almost just a little over a year ago, the largest fire. Our work has been to mobilize populations to respond to help heal, planting trees. But the good news is it's not just people. We've managed to create a river of humans to go back up to the mountains and replant them with trees, restart the watershed, restart the forests. But the business community has jumped in and helped. So with the thousands of volunteers that we've worked with, many of them, most of them are employed. And they're employed by people like Disney, like Boeing. And those companies, because their people cared, the company said, well, where should we put our money? And the employees of Boeing said, we are going to personally donate $1 million from our pockets to help the people hurt in the fires. We want to challenge you, the company, to follow us. And they did. Same with the employees of Disney. These two companies have made it possible for us to mobilize what the U.S. Forest Service says is the largest public-private partnership on forest land in America, bringing thousands and thousands of people up to the woods to restore the burned fire areas. I'm working here to illustrate several ways that we can scale up in unprecedented ways. This is a street that runs through south central Los Angeles. It got named after the historic civil rights leader, Dr. Martin Luther King, as a monument to him. It's 7 miles long. He's famous for the words, "I have a dream," and he mobilized a whole generation to passionately work together to restore civil rights. This was made to be the monument for him. It should be a monument of hope, but it's not in this form. But one of our volunteers who was trained to green her neighborhood and succeeded in doing that, planting trees in a difficult community, once she did it, she dreamt further. And she said, we should green this. She went to the city and said, let's make this a great monument to the man. And they said, you're right, let's do it. But to do it right is going to cost a lot of money and take a lot of time because we got to use big trees and we got to fix the street. And that's going to take years. And it might cost millions and millions of dollars. Well, she came to me and said, can't we do better? And I said, yeah. Let's show the power of that dream. Let's do it in a day. We mobilized 3,000 volunteers. We trained 1,000 people in advance. We knocked on every door over the 7 miles. This is several days before Martin Luther King's birthday in 1990. Notice this sign. This is 2 years ago. Same sign. Should I repeat that? There, there. 4 hours, 3,000 volunteers, 500 trees, 7 miles. We did it like that. This today is called crowdsourcing. Now, it's easy to plant trees. Keeping them alive is an entirely different thing. Every year, for the first 10 years, we mobilized tree care so the community could come back. They watered the trees. With the help of the city, the encouragement of the city, giving us permits, and then after 10 years, once the trees were established and the community protected them, the city continues to take care of them. But they're alive today when the average lifespan of a tree in America is only 7 years before it dies. Next story, very important. How many times have we heard in the last 2 days that lifestyle change is very difficult and people don't change quickly? Well, people who have to deliver services like sanitation, waste, flood control, they got to count on getting that job done. And so when they're told and they believe that people won't change lifestyles quickly, they build infrastructure that says, we don't need you. We'll figure out what to do. Well, Los Angeles creates so much trash, or used to, that it would fill its sports arena, its Coliseum, every 2 weeks with all the trash we made. We ran out of space to put the trash, so the city decided it had to burn it in incinerators. The problem with incinerators is they produce cancer-causing chemicals. The communities of South Los Angeles and East Los Angeles said, no, it'll poison us, and they were able to stop those from being built. And so the city planned to build a trash train to carry trash from the city out to the desert. But it wasn't popular, and people said, let's recycle. But they knew, all the public works people knew that people really wouldn't do it. But just to make people happy, they started with a program saying, okay, we'll start recycling. We'll give it a try. Throughout the United States, the average public participation level was only 10% of the population in cities across the country. And LA knew it would barely ever get there because we have over 200 languages spoken in our city. But it said, we got to do it, so they started. Tree People, the organization I founded, we had a small environmental education program that only reached 35,000 kids a year. But we saw when we taught them and motivated them, they did change, and they helped change their families. So we said to the city, we'd like to partner with you. Let us work with you to make this program go big. You know, it doesn't matter what trucks you buy or what bins you get. All that matters is whether people participate or not.